Every minute of every day, your kidneys depend on one thing that most people rarely think about. It isn't a supplement, it isn't a special diet, it isn't even the number on your latest creatinine test. It's blood flow. Your kidneys can only filter the blood your heart is able to deliver. And that simple fact changes the way we should think about kidney health. Many people focus entirely on the kidneys themselves while overlooking the system that keeps them alive and working every second. If the heart struggles to pump efficiently or blood vessels become less healthy over time, your kidneys have to work with less of the very thing they need most. That's why protecting your kidneys isn't only about avoiding certain foods. It's also about choosing meals that support healthy circulation, balanced blood pressure, and strong blood vessels. Welcome back to our 7-day kidney meal plan. Today is day 4, and we're taking an exciting step forward. During day 3, we discovered how adding more fiber can help create steadier energy and more balanced meals. Today, we're expanding that foundation by connecting two organs that quietly depend on each other every moment of the day: your heart and your kidneys. Once you understand this relationship, grocery shopping, meal planning, and even reading food labels begin to make much more sense, because you stop asking, "Is this food good for my kidneys?" and start asking, "Does this meal support the entire system that keeps my kidneys working well?" Throughout today's meal plan, I'll show you how simple ingredients like avocado, blueberries, quinoa, olive oil, colorful vegetables, and fresh herbs can work together to support both heart and kidney health without making your meals complicated or restrictive. Stay with me until the very end, because I'll also share several practical kitchen tips that many people overlook, including how everyday salad dressings, bottled sauces, and even the way you season your food can quietly affect your sodium intake without you realizing it. Those small details often make a much bigger difference than people expect. If you're finding this series helpful, I invite you to subscribe and continue this journey with me. Each day builds naturally on the last, giving you practical habits you can actually use instead of overwhelming rules that are difficult to follow. Now, before we prepare today's heart-friendly meals, let's take a closer look at why supporting your heart and blood vessels may be one of the smartest ways to support your kidneys for years to come. Why Day 4 matters. Every day of this series has been building towards something much bigger than a 7-day meal plan. Throughout these 7 days, my goal has never been to promise that your creatinine level will suddenly improve or that your kidneys will completely recover in a single week. By the end of these 7 days, you'll know how to rely less on heavily processed foods, choose higher quality sources of protein, include more fiber naturally, reduce unnecessary sodium, and build balanced meals that support not only your kidneys, but also your heart. Those daily choices become the foundation of long-term health, and that's where meaningful progress usually begins. One reason I'm especially excited about Day 4 is because it introduces a connection that many people never hear about. I like to compare your kidneys to the water filtration system in a home. A filter can only clean the water that actually flows through it. If very little water reaches the filter, it cannot perform at its best, no matter how well the filter itself is designed. Your kidneys work in much the same way. Think of your heart as the pump and your blood vessels as the network of pipes carrying blood throughout your body. When the pump works efficiently and the pipes remain healthy, your kidneys receive the steady blood flow they depend on to do their job. That's why today's focus isn't just about feeding your kidneys. It's about supporting the entire circulation system that keeps them functioning every minute of the day. For that reason, every meal you'll see today follows the same simple formula. Each one combines lean protein to nourish your muscles without unnecessary excess, heart-healthy fats to support healthy blood vessels, colorful vegetables rich in natural antioxidants, and wholesome ingredients that provide steady energy instead of dramatic highs and lows. Together, these foods create meals that support better circulation, encourage more stable energy throughout the day, help care for your heart, and in turn provide a healthier environment for your kidneys. Once you understand this connection, healthy eating becomes much less confusing because every meal has a clear purpose beyond simply avoiding certain foods. Let's begin with a breakfast that proves healthy fats can become one of your heart's best friends when you choose the right portion. 1. Breakfast, a heart-healthy start that also supports your kidneys. One of the biggest nutrition myths I still hear is that people should avoid avocado because it's too high in fat. I understand where that concern comes from. For years, many of us were taught to think of all fats as something to fear, especially when trying to eat healthier. But one of the most important lessons I've learned is that the type of fat matters far more than simply the amount. Avocados are rich in mostly monounsaturated fats, the kind of healthy fats that can be part of a heart-friendly eating pattern when enjoyed in sensible portions. I often compare these fats to the oil that keeps a car engine running smoothly. Without the right lubrication, the moving parts experience more friction and wear over time. Your blood vessels aren't mechanical parts, of course, but choosing healthier fats instead of relying heavily on saturated fats helps create a healthier environment for your cardiovascular system. Since your kidneys depend on healthy blood vessels to receive a steady supply of blood, taking care of your heart is another meaningful way to take care of your kidneys. The key isn't eating large amounts of avocado, it's enjoying just enough to add nutrition, flavor, and satisfaction without overdoing it. To balance those healthy fats, we're adding egg whites, one of my favorite sources of high-quality protein for a kidney-friendly meal plan. Egg whites provide the building blocks your muscles and tissues need while containing much less phosphorus than egg yolks. That makes them a practical option for many people who are trying to be more mindful of their mineral intake. Another advantage is that egg whites are naturally filling without making breakfast feel overly heavy. Instead of relying on processed breakfast meats that often contain large amounts of sodium, you're starting your morning with a cleaner, simpler source of protein that fits beautifully alongside whole foods. Fresh blueberries complete this breakfast for a reason that goes well beyond their natural sweetness. Their deep blue-purple color comes from plant compounds called anthocyanins, natural antioxidants that help protect cells from oxidative stress. While antioxidants aren't a magic solution, they are one more reason why colorful fruits deserve a regular place on your plate. What I especially love about today's breakfast is how every ingredient plays a different role while supporting the same goal. The avocado provides heart-healthy fats that help support healthy blood vessels. Healthy blood vessels contribute to steady blood flow, and steady blood flow helps your kidneys receive the oxygen and nutrients they need to perform their everyday work. The egg whites contribute high-quality protein that satisfies hunger without unnecessary excess, while the blueberries add fiber, antioxidants, and natural sweetness. No single ingredient performs all the work by itself. Instead, each one contributes something unique, creating a meal that's balanced rather than extreme. That's the pattern I want you to remember throughout this series, because balanced meals are much easier to maintain than restrictive ones. Preparing this breakfast takes only a few minutes. Start by lightly toasting one slice of low-sodium, whole-grain bread until it's golden and crisp. While the bread is toasting, cook 2 or 3 egg whites in a non-stick skillet over medium heat, using a light spray of olive oil if needed. Stir them gently until they're fully cooked but still soft and tender. Next, mash 1/4 of a small ripe avocado with a fork and spread it evenly over the warm toast. Place the cooked egg whites on top, then season with freshly ground black pepper and a sprinkle of chopped parsley or fresh chives for extra flavor. Serve the toast with 1/2 cup of fresh blueberries on the side. This simple combination creates a colorful breakfast that's satisfying without feeling heavy. Portion size is what keeps this meal balanced. About 1/4 of a small avocado provides plenty of healthy fat without adding more than you need. 2 to 3 egg whites supply enough protein for most people, while 1/2 cup of blueberries offers a generous serving of fruit that's easy to enjoy. Remember, healthy eating isn't about piling as much healthy food onto your plate as possible. It's about choosing appropriate portions that work together to nourish your body. If this is a breakfast you can picture yourself making at home, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and write "Heart Healthy Breakfast." I always enjoy seeing how many of you are following along with each day's meal plan. Now let's build a colorful lunch that brings together one of the world's healthiest eating patterns with simple ingredients you can find in almost any grocery store. 2. Lunch, a colorful plate that supports your heart and your kidneys. One ingredient I believe deserves far more attention is quinoa. Although many people think of it as just another grain, quinoa is actually much more than that. It provides complex carbohydrates for steady energy, contains fiber to help support digestion, and even contributes a modest amount of plant protein. That's one reason I enjoy including it in balanced meals. Instead of creating the rapid rise and fall in energy that often follows heavily refined carbohydrates, quinoa helps create a meal that feels satisfying for much longer. I like to compare it to adding another strong support beam to a house. Every balanced ingredient strengthens the overall structure. No single food carries the entire load, but when several nutritious foods work together, the result is a meal that supports your body in multiple ways at once. Rather than simply filling your stomach, quinoa becomes part of a lunch that provides lasting nourishment throughout the afternoon. To complement the quinoa, we're using grilled chicken breast, one of the most reliable, lean protein choices you can make. I often remind people that choosing healthier protein isn't about altogether. It's about choosing cuts that naturally contain less saturated fat while still providing the protein your muscles, immune system, and many other tissues depend on every day. Chicken breast is an excellent example of that balance. It delivers high-quality protein without the heavier fat content found in many processed or fattier cuts of meat. By preparing it fresh, instead of relying on breaded or heavily seasoned products, you also avoid much of the hidden sodium that quietly finds its way into many packaged foods. Sometimes the healthiest choice isn't adding something new, it's simply preparing familiar foods in a simpler way. Colorful vegetables are another essential part of today's lunch. One thing I always encourage is looking for variety instead of perfection. Different vegetables bring different vitamins, minerals, fiber, and protective plant compounds to your plate. Bright red tomatoes, crisp cucumbers, leafy greens, orange bell peppers, purple cabbage, and other colorful vegetables each contribute something unique. I often tell people to imagine their plate as a painter's palette. The more natural colors you include, the greater the variety of beneficial nutrients you're likely to enjoy. Beyond their nutritional value, colorful vegetables also make meals more appealing, adding freshness, texture, and flavor that help reduce the temptation to rely on heavy sauces or processed side dishes. Speaking of flavor, the dressing we choose can completely change the nutritional quality of an otherwise healthy salad. That's why I recommend a simple dressing made with extra virgin olive oil instead of many bottled dressings. While packaged dressings can certainly be convenient, they often contain surprisingly high amounts of sodium, added sugars, preservatives, and unnecessary ingredients. A simple mixture of extra virgin olive oil, fresh lemon juice, black pepper, garlic, and a few chopped herbs creates a bright, fresh flavor while supporting the heart-healthy theme of today's meal. Olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats, the same family of healthy fats we discussed earlier with avocado. When used in moderate amounts, it complements a balanced eating pattern without overwhelming the meal. Preparing this lunch is simple enough for almost anyone. Begin by cooking about 1/2 cup of quinoa according to the package directions, then allow it to cool slightly. Season a 3 to 4 ounce chicken breast with black pepper, garlic powder, paprika, and a little dried oregano before grilling or cooking it in a skillet until fully done. Slice the chicken into thin strips once it has rested for a few minutes. In a large bowl, combine the cooked quinoa with chopped romaine lettuce, cucumber, cherry tomatoes, shredded carrots, and a small amount of red bell pepper for extra color. Add the sliced chicken on top, then whisk together 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, fresh lemon juice, minced garlic, and chopped parsley before drizzling it lightly over the salad. Toss gently and serve immediately while everything is fresh and crisp. If quinoa isn't your favorite, don't worry. Healthy eating should always be flexible enough to fit your preferences. You can substitute a moderate serving of brown rice, barley, or even another whole grain that you enjoy and tolerate well. The important lesson isn't that quinoa is the only healthy choice. The lesson is learning to combine lean protein, wholesome carbohydrates, colorful vegetables, and heart-healthy fats into one balanced plate that supports both your heart and your kidneys. And then, dinner will show you how comfort food can still fit into a heart-healthy, kidney-friendly lifestyle. 3. Dinner. Comfort food with a heart-healthy twist. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to stay consistent with healthy eating is the belief that nutritious meals have to be bland. I've heard countless people say, if I have to give up flavor, I know I won't stick with it. I completely understand that concern because food should still be enjoyable. The good news is that flavor doesn't have to come from salt alone. That's exactly why I love today's dinner. Herb-roasted chicken proves that simple seasonings can completely transform a meal without relying on heavy sauces or excessive sodium. Fresh rosemary, thyme, garlic, parsley, black pepper, and a squeeze of lemon create layers of flavor that allow the chicken to shine naturally. I often compare herbs to a talented orchestra. No single instrument dominates the performance, yet, together, they create something rich, balanced, and memorable. When you learn to season with herbs instead of automatically reaching for the salt shaker, your taste buds gradually begin to appreciate the natural flavors that were there all along. The second star of today's dinner is cauliflower mash, one of my favorite examples of how small substitutions can make healthy eating feel effortless rather than restrictive. Many people automatically think mashed potatoes belong beside roasted chicken, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying them occasionally. But sometimes, choosing a lighter alternative gives your meal a different nutritional balance without sacrificing comfort. Cauliflower becomes surprisingly creamy once it's cooked and blended, creating a texture that feels familiar, while adding fiber, vitamin C, and beneficial plant compounds. It also fits beautifully into today's heart-friendly theme because it provides plenty of flavor and satisfaction without making the meal feel overly heavy. I like to think of cauliflower mash as proof that healthy eating isn't about giving up your favorite meals. It's about discovering new versions that still feel comforting while supporting your long-term goals. Green beans complete the plate in a wonderfully simple way. They bring color, texture, fiber, and important vitamins, while adding the satisfying crunch that makes every bite a little more interesting. One thing I encourage people to remember is that vegetables don't always have to be the center of attention. Sometimes their greatest strength is the balance they bring to the meal as a whole. Green beans brighten the plate, add freshness, and create contrast with the creamy cauliflower mash and tender roasted chicken. Together, these three foods provide a meal that feels complete instead of overwhelming. Rather than relying on oversized portions of meat or starch, each ingredient contributes something different, creating the balance we've been building throughout this series. What I especially appreciate about this dinner is how comfortably it fits into the evening. Many people assume dinner should be the largest meal of the day, but I often find that lighter, well-balanced meals leave people feeling more comfortable afterward. It's another reminder that healthy eating is built through consistent choices, not dramatic changes. Preparing this dinner is simple and doesn't require complicated techniques. Begin by preheating your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Season a 3 to 4 ounce skinless chicken breast with garlic powder, black pepper, dried rosemary, thyme, parsley, and a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. Place it on a baking tray lined with parchment paper and roast for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until fully cooked. While the chicken is roasting, steam 1 to 1.5 cups of cauliflower florets until they're very tender. Transfer the cooked cauliflower to a blender or food processor with 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, a little garlic powder, black pepper, and a small splash of unsweetened milk if needed. Blend until smooth and creamy. At the same time, kimi, walksami kai mi, si mi, in steen, ron or malksani ki cup si, cuprami bramatrami of fresh green beans for about 5 to 7 minutes until they're tender but still slightly crisp. Arrange the roasted chicken, cauliflower mash, and green beans together on one plate, finishing everything with a little fresh parsley and another squeeze of lemon for brightness. One final serving tip can make an even bigger difference than most people realize. Try skipping bottled barbecue sauce, heavy gravies, and creamy packaged toppings. While they often seem harmless in small amounts, many contain surprisingly high levels of sodium, added sugars, and preservatives that can quickly change the nutritional quality of an otherwise balanced meal. Instead, allow fresh herbs, garlic, black pepper, paprika, and lemon juice to provide most of the flavor. You'll often discover that real ingredients create a fresher, brighter taste than bottled sauces ever could. One more meal remains today, and it proves that a healthy snack can satisfy your hunger without undoing the balance you've built all day. 4. Bonus. Snack. Greek yogurt with strawberries. A simple choice that keeps you on track. One habit I've noticed over the years is that many people put a great deal of effort into preparing lunches and dinners, but when afternoon or evening hunger arrives, they reach for whatever is quickest. A handful of crackers, a bag of chips, or a sweet dessert can quietly undo the balance they've worked so hard to build throughout the day. That's why I believe a smart snack deserves just as much attention as the main meals. Today's snack is simple, satisfying, and built around whole foods that support the same principles we've been following all day. Preparing this snack couldn't be easier. Spoon about 3/4 of a cup of plain Greek yogurt into a small bowl, then slice 1/2 cup of fresh strawberries and scatter them over the top. If you're using chia seeds, add about 1 teaspoon and gently stir or leave them sprinkled on top for a little crunch. Chill the snack until you're ready to enjoy it, or prepare it fresh in just a few minutes whenever hunger appears between meals. Keeping portions balanced is just as important with snacks as it is with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. About 3/4 of a cup of plain Greek yogurt paired with 1/2 cup of fresh strawberries creates a satisfying serving without becoming another oversized meal. The goal is simply to bridge the gap between meals while supporting steady energy throughout the day. If you're following today's meal plan with me, leave a comment below and write, "Snack complete." I'd love to know you're still with me as we continue building healthier habits together. Before we finish day 4, let me share a few kitchen habits that help protect both your heart and your kidneys every time you cook. And before we wrap up day 4, I'd like to share a few simple kitchen habits that I believe can make a bigger difference than any single recipe. Over the years, I've found that lasting healthy eating isn't created by learning dozens of complicated meals. It's built by changing the small decisions you make every time you step into your kitchen. Those everyday choices often determine whether a meal supports your heart and kidneys or quietly adds more sodium, saturated fat, and unnecessary ingredients than you intended. One of the easiest habits to develop is learning to season your food with herbs before reaching for the salt shaker. Fresh rosemary, parsley, thyme, basil, oregano, and dill all add their own unique flavor without increasing sodium. I often encourage people to think of herbs as the personality of a meal. Instead of covering the natural taste of your ingredients, they bring out the best in them. As your taste buds gradually adjust, you'll often discover that you need far less salt than you once thought. Another simple trick I use almost every day is adding fresh lemon juice. A squeeze of lemon doesn't make food salty, but it does make flavors seem brighter and more vibrant. That little burst of acidity helps vegetables taste fresher, grilled chicken more flavorful, and salads more refreshing. Many people are surprised by how much less salt they miss once they begin using lemon together with fresh herbs and garlic. It's also important to pay attention to hidden sources of sodium. One of the healthiest looking meals can quickly become much less heart-friendly if it's covered with bottled salad dressing, barbecue sauce, packaged gravy, or seasoning packets. These products often contain far more sodium than most people realize. Whenever possible, I recommend making simple dressings at home with olive oil, lemon juice, herbs, garlic, and black pepper. It only takes a minute or two, and you stay in control of exactly what goes into your meal. Another habit worth building is choosing fresh ingredients more often than highly processed ones. Fresh chicken breast, fresh fish, fresh vegetables, and whole ingredients usually contain fewer hidden additives, while allowing you to create meals with cleaner, more natural flavors. You don't have to cook elaborate recipes every day. Even simple meals become healthier when they begin with fresh ingredients. As you prepare your plate, try to include at least 3 natural colors whenever possible: green vegetables, red tomatoes or strawberries, orange carrots, purple cabbage, or deep blue berries all contribute different vitamins, antioxidants, and plant compounds. I like to think of a colorful plate as a simple reminder that variety usually brings better nutrition than eating the same foods every day. Finally, remember that even healthy fats deserve sensible portions. Avocados, olive oil, nuts, and seeds are wonderful additions to a balanced eating pattern, but more isn't always better. A moderate amount is enough to provide their benefits while keeping your meals balanced and satisfying. If there's one formula I'd love for you to remember from day 4, it's this: lean protein plus healthy fats plus colorful vegetables plus simple seasoning equals stronger heart, stronger kidneys. It isn't about perfection, it's about creating meals that support your body one choice at a time. If you're enjoying our 7-day kidney meal plan, I'd love for you to subscribe so you can join me for day 5. Before you go, leave a comment below and tell me which meal you're most excited to try or which cooking tip surprised you the most today. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in day 5, where we'll continue discovering simple, practical, and sustainable ways to build meals that support not only healthier kidneys, but a healthier body as a whole. As we come to the end of day 4, I want to leave you with one encouraging thought: you don't have to follow a perfect diet to make a meaningful difference in your health. Real progress isn't created by one flawless meal or one perfect week. It's built through the small choices you repeat day after day. Every time you choose fresh herbs instead of reaching for the salt shaker, add another serving of colorful vegetables to your plate, or make a simple homemade dressing instead of using a bottled one, you're doing something positive, not just for your kidneys, but for your entire cardiovascular system. Those choices may seem small in the moment, but over time, they become the habits that shape your health. One of the biggest lessons I hope you take away from today is that healthy kidneys never work alone. They rely on a healthy heart, healthy blood vessels, and the everyday decisions you make every time you prepare a meal. That's why I encourage you to stop thinking about food as something that helps only one part of your body. Every balanced meal is an opportunity to support the entire system working together. When your heart is stronger, your circulation is healthier, and your blood vessels function well, you're creating a better environment for your kidneys to do the remarkable job they perform every single day. My hope is that you're beginning to look beyond individual recipes and instead understand the simple principles behind them. Once you learn how to combine wholesome ingredients into balanced meals, healthy eating no longer feels like a temporary diet. It becomes a natural lifestyle, one that feels realistic, enjoyable, and sustainable for years to come. The small changes you make today can become the everyday habits that continue supporting your health long into the future.